Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Pigskin Addicts back again with another video. So the Mike Williams injury, it seems like it is going to be something that could possibly linger, right? Now, I went over my thoughts on it, the Staley decision and all of that stuff, and that's not what this video is about. This video is about, obviously, the reality, right? You still have to deal with this in real time. So my thoughts on this and how to move forward is to give Josh Palmer more targets. That's really the only way I think the Chargers can really, put together a somewhat complete passing game. You got to give him more targets. Josh Palmer has been somebody that has been really, really good for the Chargers. I obviously made a video about him not too long ago. I think he is one of the unsung heroes, right? And I think this is one of the times for him to step up. There's really no sense in bringing up a Michael Bandy. There's no sense in playing a DeAndre Carter in Mike Williams' role. The best way to have, at least a semblance of, a downfield type of offense is to put Josh Palmer in Mike Williams' role. If Mike Williams cannot roll, or if he can't, play at, at least close to 100% level, you have to get Josh Palmer in there. He has to make a difference in this game. And I think you have to target him. 8, 9, 10 targets, whatever he needs to make an impact. I think you have to target him. He is obviously not the physical specimen that Mike Williams is, right? Very few receivers are, right? Mike Williams, 6'4", probably. He's listed at like 218. There's no way. He doesn't weigh as much as me. He's probably 230, closer to 230, right? So he's a big guy. Obviously, big catch radius. Obviously, can jump out the gym, right? Obviously, can catch the ball, get yak, right? Run small DBs over. He does all of that stuff, right? Now, that's something that you cannot replace. That only comes with him. It only comes with his, physical attributes. So that's something that you can't replace. I'm not even talking about that. I am just talking about Josh Palmer and his knowledge of this offense, right? The knowledge of the offense that he has shown all season long. When Mike and Keenan were out, he was the number one target. And again, he was facing a lot of double teams, right? He has been banged up all season long as well, too. But I think now is the perfect time to really utilize this guy and to utilize his, camaraderie that he has with Justin Herbert. They have really built that. Coming into the season, it looked like they were a little bit off, off balance. Maybe weren't on the same page on, a lot of the routes and things that he was running. But at this point right now, he's been playing really well. Obviously, his targets have been down since, you got the two big dogs have come back. So that's to be expected. But I think now is a absolute perfect time for him to step up. And I think now is a perfect time for him to really show what he can do. He was drafted, in the third round, right? That's pretty high for the Chargers, right? If they're going to take a receiver. So it's set up for him to come out and be the unsung hero and for him to have a really good game. And for me, again, if Mike Williams cannot go 100%, or if, he does get a shot and the shot wears off, I'm expecting Josh Palmer to do some things. For me personally, Josh Palmer is going to be the X factor in this game. I think he's a guy that the Jaguars aren't really going to game plan for. So it behooves Joe Lombardi, it behooves the Chargers offense to really create some packages centered around Josh Palmer. Get him the ball early. And I think if you get him the ball early, you're going to have to force the Jaguars to make a decision, right? They're not going to be able to double Keenan Allen as much. Josh Palmer can beat one-on-one coverage. The weak spot for this Jaguars team is out there at corner. They can be burned. They can be torched. So I think that is a place that the Chargers need to go. I think they can really have some favorable matchups if they want them out there. So for me, Josh Palmer is the guy. Josh Palmer is the guy that can step up. Josh Palmer is the guy that can, try to do a bang-up job filling the shoes of Mike Williams when Mike isn't in there. If the Chargers are planning this, if they are game planning this, they can really throw the Jaguars off, I believe, because you're going to have to get downfield, right? You're going to have to get downfield somehow, right? You don't necessarily need to go deep, but you're going to have to run some deep over routes, right? You're going to have to run some post corner routes, right? You're going to have to get downfield. You're going to have to back those safeties up. You don't want them near the line of scrimmage. You don't want them blowing plays up. And you don't want Herbert, throwing from a messy pocket, right? When they have a lot of guys up towards the line of scrimmage, it really screws things up with the protection. And, it can really throw some plays off. The Broncos did a pretty damn good job of that in the second half. And, I'm expecting Jacksonville to do something similar, but, all of this can be for naught if Josh Palmer wins his one-on-one routes, and he will be in one-on-one. I do believe he'll be in one-on-one, and I think it makes more sense to target him more, to have more in the game plan for him than it does for DeAndre Carter. We've seen the DeAndre Carter thing. DeAndre Carter is a pretty good return specialist, right? He's pretty, he's okay. But as far as receiver goes, it's just not working. It hasn't really worked all season long, outside of a few plays. But I don't expect him to be a big part of the game plan. If DeAndre Carter is a big part of the game plan, I would worry. I would worry offensively because he can be guarded one-on-one, and, he's not the biggest guy either, so that's not much to worry about on the Jaguar side. Josh Palmer, on the other hand, though, he is becoming a route-running technician a la Keenan Allen, and I think, if you get him working, especially in the middle of the field, where he's able to sit down in zone, especially if Jacksonville is not comfortable blitzing Herbert. If they want to sit back and play coverage, Josh Palmer can exploit some stuff in the middle of the field. He's done it all season long. He did it a lot when Mike and Keenan were injured. And I think he's a guy that can be an X factor. He can be an X factor. I think he's ready. This is what you drafted him for, right? You don't have Jalen Guyton. You really don't have much speed out there. But, all you can really do is hit the areas that they're not, right? Sit down in zone, read coverage, right? And just be able to execute, right? If you're not going to be able to have a burner going up and down the field to really stress the defense, right? You got to be able to execute at a high level. This Charger offense can execute at a high level. When they are focused, when the game plan is consistent, when play calling is consistent, they can focus and they can operate at a high level, especially when teams play them zone. Now, if Jacksonville does blitz the Chargers, which I'm hoping that they do. I'm hoping they blitz the Chargers a lot. It's going to create a lot of one-on-one. So if they do that, then I'm expecting Keenan to have a really big game. I'm expecting Donald Parham to have a pretty good game as well, too, if they blitz and go one-on-one. There are some mismatches there, even without Mike Williams. So I'm expecting the Chargers to be aggressive. I'm expecting them to be aggressive because they really don't have any time to sit back and throw stick routes. They just don't. They just don't. You can't throw stick routes. You can't have 3-and-outs, and you cannot come out cold offensively. You have to go down the field. You have to be hot, and you have to try to open things up for the run game, right? So you're able to control the clock. So you're able to control the game. Jacksonville is a young team. They don't have the veteran leadership like the Chargers do, right? Chargers have multiple guys. They got rings, multiple guys who have played in Super Bowls, multiple guys who have been to the playoffs a bunch of times. The Chargers have that. They have that in the locker room. So I'm looking to that veteran experience to really, really put the Chargers over the top here. But obviously, if the Chargers don't have Mike Williams, it is going to be a very, very, very difficult time, right? Now, is it doable? Can they still win without Mike Williams? Yes, they can, but everything has to be working, right? Everything has to be working. It's an all hands on deck approach. And again, I think Josh Palmer can play a really, really big role. So to me, he is going to be the X factor in this game. And if he's not the X factor in this game, if he is not targeted a bunch, if Mike Williams can't go and Josh Palmer's not targeted a bunch, I'm going to be looking at Brandon Staley because this is going to be his fault. Obviously, Joe Lombardi is the offensive coordinator, but Brandon Staley has to be involved in game planning, offensive game planning this week. He must be involved, and he must be involved heavily. If there's anything coming through the headset that he doesn't like, he's got to veto it because there is no next week without a win. They must get a win. They must do the things that, lead to victory, right? You can't waste any time. You can't experiment, try some stuff out. None of that. none of that works this week. You got to go out there. You have to be intentional. You have to play that full 60 minutes. And even without Mike Williams, with Mike Williams, right, you got to go to your matchups. You got to go to your guys who you believe in, guys who you have trust in, and guys who can eventually, get you in the end zone. So that's what I'm looking for. And again, I think Josh Palmer is my X factor going into this game against the Jaguars. And I'm going to be looking for him to have a big game. I don't know what the stats look like. I'm sure it's not going to be, a super statistical game, right? And unless it's a shootout, which I don't expect. But, there can be some third downs, maybe some crucial fourth downs where Josh Palmer can be a guy that can come up big for the Chargers. So I'm looking for him to have a good game and have a big, big impact. So that's all I got for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Really, really appreciate it. Shout out to all my new subscribers. Really appreciate you guys. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. And don't forget to smash the like button on your way out as well, too. I'll be back again tomorrow with more content. And until next time.